Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, September 11, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren. And subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below, letting me know what the has been like in your year recently. Also, feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of in your specific area. Alright, so let's take a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center's 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We can see that we still have Hurricane Francine right there across the southern United States. It has definitely made landfall by now. We can also see that they've highlighted a brand new area of disturbed weather right there off the east coast of the United States. And we see that they have now highlighted two code yellows across the main development region, and they've also upgraded that code red that we showed yesterday to a tropical depression. This is now tropical depression 7. So let's go into details about each and every one of these systems. So first of all, Francine is right here. Definitely has made landfall in Louisiana. There's still a hurricane warning up for that state. We see the red shade and still some tropical storm warnings here and there. And it's expected to push northeastward, then northward. And as usual, as soon as it heads over land, it's going to be weakening. It's still a hurricane, hawking maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour, moving to the northeast at 17 miles per hour. And we can see by the S right there, it's expected to weaken back to a tropical storm, then back to a tropical depression. And if we take a look back at the infrared satellite images of the Atlantic, we can definitely see the clouds associated with Francine right there. All of the yellows, oranges, reds, all of the deep convection, the bad weather, rain, wind, lightning, you name it. Louisiana is getting it. So if you have friends or relatives in that state, please ensure that you contact them if you can get through to them, that is, because you know these systems can definitely cause a lot of power outages and whatnot. If we go back to what the Hurricane Center is showing, this system right here, they state that it has a 30% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. They say in a few days, a non-tropical area of low pressure could form along a residual frontal boundary a few hundred miles off the southeastern U.S. coastline. Thereafter, some subtropical or tropical development is possible during the early part of next week while the system drifts to the north or northwest. Regarding these systems right here, the one closer to the Caribbean has a 10% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. The Hurricane Center states here, let's zoom in some more, a small area of low pressure located several hundred miles to the east of the Leeward Islands is producing a limited area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms. The proximity of dry air near the system is expected to limit additional development over the next couple of days before environmental conditions become even less conducive by this weekend as it moves slowly west-northwestward. We see that they've also given it a 10% chance of cyclone formation within the next 48 hours, that's the next 2 days. The system to the east of that one has a 20% chance of cyclone formation, both within the next 48 hours and the next 7 days. According to the Hurricane Center, an area of low pressure located over the central tropical Atlantic continues to produce disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity. Environmental conditions appear marginally conducive for some slight development during the next day or so, while the system moves westward at 5 to 10 miles per hour over the central tropical Atlantic. The disturbance is expected to reach an area of stronger upper level winds on Friday, likely ending its chances for development. But let us focus our attention on this newly designated tropical depression number 7. And we see that it is forecast to become an S that represents storm. And we know the next name on the list after Francine is Garden right here. And if we go back to this system, we can see that it's definitely going to be missing the Caribbean, well, so far, because as we can see, the cone of uncertainty gets a bit uncertain as it's supposed to. We see that it's definitely going to be pushing more so towards the west northwest or the northwest, and then the hurricane center is not sure if it's going to be going south or west or northwest. So it's only a waiting game at this point to see exactly what unfolds, because the future is not so certain of what's going to be happening regarding this storm. So we're just going to be paying close attention as time goes on with it. According to what the supercomputer models are showing, let us first look at the Euro model right here, and we're just going to be going out to the next 168 hours. That's the next 7 days. So look at the timestamp right here. Look at Francine and look at the other systems. One right here, the other one should be off to the east of there, and the other one to the east of that one. So let us see exactly what unfolds regarding these systems. So as we go out in time, we see Francine definitely going inland across the United States. We see some moisture across the central to the eastern Caribbean. Lots of moisture at that. So there's definitely some rainfall coming for sure. As we continue to go out, we don't see anything substantial, anything alarming coming in. Lots more whites than anything else. Nothing vigorous. These areas of low pressure are too weak at that. As a matter of fact, if we look at the visible satellite images, we can see the swirls or the spin associated with them. Look at this. This is the first one, the first code yellow, and this is the second one right here. So they're definitely small. They don't have the deep convection that we saw across Francine. They don't even have the deep convection that we can see across tropical depression number 7. So they're definitely weak at this point. And according to the Hurricane Center, they're going to be continuously weak given the upper level wind shear that they're expected to go into. We see a strong upper level wind shear from the northeast still getting in on that across portion of the central to the western Caribbean, all courtesy of the upper level high pressure brought about by Francine. And we can also see southwesterly wind shear right here across the eastern Caribbean, those high cold clouds being blown off towards the northeast. And this is the direction that the systems are going, towards the west, maybe clipping the leeward island. But we don't see much in the way of moisture on the Euro model. Let us see what the GFS model is showing regarding this system. So as we go out in time, we see Francine going inland, the tropical wave, some moisture associated with it starting to come into portion of the leeward island. Not seeing much of anything, nothing drastic at all. Look at all of that white than anything else. Some dots of greens represent moisture, but that's just about it. Nothing significant. No heavy rainfall, no yellows, no areas of low pressure, you name it. So it's definitely going to be quite a quiet period as we head into mid-September. If we take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can still see that frontal system still stalled out across portion of the Gulf of Mexico, Florida right there. We can see the tropical wave right here across portion of the eastern Caribbean. We can see the areas of low pressure that the Hurricane Center is watching, and the other tropical wave, or the area of low pressure, well, which is tropical depression number 7. We can also see that tropical wave that affected portion of Jamaica yesterday, that caused the incident with the female who was washed away, who was trying to save the pig. It is quite a sad situation considering the young man who was trying to save her life, and he ended up losing his life. If we take a look here at the visible satellite images of Jamaica, well, of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with Francine right here across the southern United States. We can see the clouds associated with the cold yellow areas across the waters of the main development region. The clouds associated with a tropical depression right there, tropical depression number 7. But that's basically it. We don't see much of anything significant across the Atlantic at all. If we take a look at what was predicted in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, September 11, 2024, it was predicted that there would have been some afternoon rainfall on Wednesday for portions of eastern, central, and western Jamaica. And we know Eastern Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. While Western Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? The infrared satellite images were posted at around 4:15 p.m. on our Twitter page, but I believe they were posted earlier on our other social media platforms like Instagram at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So if we take a close look at the infrared satellite images that were posted, we definitely had the thunderstorms across this eastern, central, and western portion of the island. And we know we definitely had the thunderstorms where we see the sparkling white dust that we know represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, across portions of northwestern St. Thomas, southwestern Portland, northern St. Andrew, sections of northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, southern St. Anne, southern Trelawney, northern Manchester, northern St. Elizabeth. We saw that most of the thunderstorms were in this area highlighted in pink, but the high cold cloud tops were being blown off towards the southwest, which brought more in the way of overcast skies to some southern parishes than anything else. And even although there was some amount of overcast skies across southern Jamaica, the heat was definitely still on regardless. It's definitely, quite a hot period that we've been experiencing for the past week or two. So I hope and trust that you all have been staying hydrated. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can definitely see that most of the cloud cover was across western Portland, western St. Thomas, section of Kingston, St. Andrew. Most central and western parishes definitely got in on some overcast skies, if not some amount of isolated shower thunderstorm activity. For sure, just as predicted. And we definitely have some confirmation about the weather across those areas from some of our followers right here on our Twitter page. Lorraine5412 stating sweet sound of little pitter patter on my doorstep in Red Hills. Vodka _and_ vibe stating rain again here. I'm loving it. And if we take a look here at the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, from about 3:09 p.m, I think you can make out, if you look closely, that there was some droplets of rainfall up here in the hills, looking down to the southwest on I believe the National Stadium is somewhere over here to the right, but we can see Digicel headquarters right here down to the southwest. They were definitely getting in on some amount of isolated rainfall, if you can make it out right there at that time. And even while I was leaving Kingston around that time, I got some rainfall in eastern Kingston near Harbourview as well. So we definitely had some amount of rainfall across the corporate area today. Nothing drastic at all. Not seeing blinding rainfall or anything like that. But we definitely heard some thunder in the distance for sure. If we take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this map does indeed paint a picture of where we had the rainfall today, more so across section of central and western Jamaica for sure, western portion of St. Thomas and Portland just as seen on the satellite images. If we take a look at the infrared satellite images that are just coming out, first of all, look at the high cold cloud tops that are represented by the blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, and the blacks, even some purples in there. We definitely had a huge burst of convection right here across portion of St. Elizabeth before all was said and done today. We can see the deep convection. Look at that. Let us pause that for a second. Right there across St. Elizabeth. That was some severe thunderstorm taking place at that time today. They definitely got it for sure. And 'tis the season. This is severe storm season across Jamaica. September is the peak month. If there's gonna be lightning damage, this is the month for it. If there's gonna be lightning and thunder, a lot of it, this is the month for it. If there's gonna be a freak storm, this is the month for it. And especially St. Elizabeth is susceptible to all of this, especially So I hope that persons are taking the necessary precautions. We spoke about this yesterday, and this could continue throughout the rest of the month, even into October. If we take a look at the latest infrared satellite image, let's see the latest image that just came out at 55 minutes past the hour. So this just came out at 7:55 p.m. We can see that most of the cloud cover is right there off to the west and off to the south of the island. Some high cold cloud tops from the thunderstorms maybe to the south of Cuba or on top of Cuba, right there being streaked off towards the southwest. But for the most part, most of it has cleared out across the island. But I'm pretty sure that if we take a look at the radar from the Cuban radar site, we can see the rainfall that we just saw across the waters to the west of us and to the southwest of us. We can see the greens and the yellows within those greens represent some amount of light to moderate to some slightly heavy rainfall. As a matter of fact, we didn't even see much in the way of rainfall across the waters to the east of Jamaica. On the satellite image, we see some milky white shades, but if we take a look here at the Doppler radar image, we can see some greens and some slight yellows that represent some isolated shores to the east of St. Thomas. This is why Doppler radar images are important, because we can have rainfall definitely being shown on the radar images, but the satellite images aren't picking them up, especially at night time. If we take a look at the latest from the Guantanamo Bay Cuban military radar, we can see some isolated rainfall right there across western Haiti, some rainfall between Jamaica and Haiti, and some rainfall across section of southern Cuba. And this is definitely that rainfall that's falling across Cuba that's causing the high cold cloud tops to be blown off towards the southwest. And we can actually see that the high cold cloud tops are causing some light rain right there, as they usually do. If it's not overcast sky, it's gonna be some light rainfall, and it explains why we're getting in on those clouds on top of the island right there across the waters to the north. If we take a look at the Cayman radar, we can see that rainfall that we just saw on the Cuban radar to the southwest of the island, some isolated pocket of rainfall right there between the Cayman Islands and Jamaica, as well as between Cuba. But that's just about it for the rainfall. And if we take a look at the latest from Crossroads in St. Andrew, the live camera that just came, well, that's happening right now, 8:15 p.m. We can see nothing drastic taking place weather-wise. Definitely a dry night. Nothing significant in terms of rainfall. Definitely going to be a fair one tonight, especially considering that we just saw the infrared satellite images clearing out. Alright, by the way, keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica's YouTube channel. They show live streams of the boardwalk gorge, the panoramic view that we looked at earlier that showed us the slight rainfall, as well as halfway trees. So subscribe to their channel if you'd like to see more of that. If we take a look here at the temperatures right now, we can see about 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Thursday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Taking a look here at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18th on Thursday. When calculated, that's about 1 p.m. on Thursday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight yellow colors that we can see represents up to 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures. And we're indeed grateful for that, because all week long we've been getting in on more of these oranges close to some reds that represent 2 to 4 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. So we're glad that the temperatures are going to be slightly cooler tomorrow, even although the slightly cooler isn't that, much of a difference, considering that in September we usually receive up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit for our temperatures, our normal temperatures for September. 90 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 32.2 degrees Celsius. So given the 1 degree Celsius rise in temperature for tomorrow, it should be anywhere from 32 to 33 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Thursday. If we take a look here at the tips to beat the heat, we know the drill. Try to stay hydrated as much as possible. Drink a lot of water. Bring a big bottle of water, or at least 4 small bottles of water. Try your very best to stay out of the sun during peak hours. Seek some shade. Eat more fruits, apples, grapes, watermelon. get in that AC or stay under a fan. We don't want anyone having any heat related illnesses at all. If we take a look here at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Thursday, we can see the entire Caribbean in the clear. Look at that. With all of the dust for the most part across the northeastern main development region, as well as closer to Africa, as we see right there. Some slight browns right here across maybe the waters to the east of Trinidad and Tobago, across portion of northern South America as well. But that's just about it. Nothing too significant at all. If we take a look here at the wave forecast for tomorrow, it makes sense that the waves are starting to quiet down across the Gulf of Mexico, considering that Francine is heading inland across the US, while the Caribbean, Jamaica, the central to the eastern Caribbean, getting in on those lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues. It represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1 meter wave height, and not because the winds are going to be averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 knots, maybe even gusting to 15 knots. And we see the flow for the winds coming in more so from the southeast across the eastern Caribbean, curving westward across the central to the western Caribbean right there, maybe curving back northward across the far western Caribbean. But as it relates to the close-up of Jamaica regarding the wind forecast, we can see the winds are still weak for the most part. The Euro right here showing all the way up to 5 knot winds, GFS closer to the 10 knot wind range in these brighter greens. And we can also see the air piling up again across sections of some central and western parishes right there, maybe more northwestern on the GFS. Euro a bit more robust with eastern, central, western Jamaica. Either way, both rainfall forecast maps are in consensus that we're gonna have a repeat of yesterday's rain as well as today's rainfall. Look at this. All of these blues represent a rainfall, and this is valid for 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time. The GFS has a lot of these blues across Western St. Thomas, Western Portland, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, sections of St. Mary, St. Anne, Clarendon, Manchester, Trelawney, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James. And the thing is, the Euro is showing something similar. And look at this. We can even see some blues that represent rainfall off to the east of the island. So there could be some rainfall coming in from off the sea as well. And even both accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus with this. Look at St. Thomas and Portland. They're finally going to be getting on some of that rainfall. Who knows, maybe it could be some evening rainfall coming in from off the sea. Either way, the Euro has the most in the way of rainfall near or over Kingston and St. Andrew in the red, maybe up to 0.79 of an inch of rainfall, closer to an inch of rainfall. GFS showing more of the rainfall across western Jamaica, maybe northern St. Elizabeth in the red. We'll see how that goes. Either way, we're indeed grateful that it's going to be raining somewhere in Jamaica tomorrow to cool down the temperatures. We can see Kingston's bar graph right here at the top, showing that we usually receive up to 100 millimeters of rainfall for the month. That's almost 4 inches of rainfall. Montego Bay's bar graph right here at the bottom, showing that we usually receive up to 7 inches of rainfall, close to it, if not 175 millimeters of rainfall. Clearly, Montego Bay gets more rainfall than Kingston. And you can do the math yourself, considering that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. And you can also visit weatherandclimate.com to find out about what your specific parish receives throughout the year. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have tropical depression number 7 right here to the west of Africa. The swirl is right here to the east of the Caribbean that the Hurricane Center is watching. And Hurricane Francine that has now made landfall into the southern portion of the United States. The usual afternoon convection across Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, as well as portion of northern South America, as well as Central America right there. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, let's see what took place today in and around the areas near Puerto Rico. Right now we see some isolated spots of greens that represent some light to moderate rainfall in and around the Leeward Islands. But if we load these images from earlier today, we don't see much change. Some thunderstorms that lash portions of the Dominican Republic today. Some rainfall that lash portion of inland areas of Puerto Rico and western Puerto Rico as well right there. And if we take a look at what's happening on the Barbados radar, we do see some isolated shores right there passing, coming in from the east southeast, just like that flow that we saw in the wind forecast. Not seeing much happening across Barbados right now, but we do see some isolated shores right there heading into portions of Martinique, section of St. Lucia getting in on some of the action too. Not to mention sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Not seeing much taking place across Grenada, but that could change. And if we scroll down, we can definitely see that not much is taking place across Trinidad and Tobago. Some rainfall right there to the east of Tobago. Who knows, maybe we might make it close to there if it doesn't dissipate, but it looks like it has dissipated right there. If we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see the rainfall still plaguing portions of the northern Bahamas and Florida associated with that frontal system. The afternoon rainfall that plagued portion of Cuba today, Dominican Republic, northern Venezuela, section of the Yucatan Peninsula too. And that relates to where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours. The greens that we know represent up to 0.25 for an inch of rainfall. The yellows that represent anywhere from 0.3 all the way up to the oranges and reds that represents close to an inch of rainfall are expected still across section of Florida, the northern Bahamas, Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, section of the Leeward Islands, such as the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Barts, section of Dominica, section of Martinique, sections of St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, section of Guyana. Don't see much taking place across Suriname or French Guyana, but definitely a section of Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, section of especially Western Belize and the Yucatan Peninsula. And we can see that both maps from the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. And we know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.